Welcome to Enigma Uncharted, where history's darkest mysteries come to life. Tonight we delve into the chilling story of the Axeman of New Orleans, a shadowy figure who haunted the city with fear and bloodshed. Who was this phantom killer, and why did he vanish without a trace? Let's explore the enigma together. New Orleans in the 1910s was a city of contrasts. It was a place where the old world met the new, where tradition intertwined with innovation. The lively jazz music filled the air, but shadows lurked in the corners. The melodies of trumpets and saxophones created a vibrant soundtrack, yet there was an underlying tension. The streets were a maze of cobblestones and gas lamps, winding through neighborhoods that held secrets in their shadows. Each corner seemed to whisper tales of the past. Nighttime was a blend of music, laughter, and unseen dread. The city came alive with the sounds of revelry, but the darkness brought with it an air of mystery and fear. The city had a unique charm, but also a dark underbelly. The architecture was a testament to its rich history, yet the alleyways hinted at the darker stories that were seldom told. The air was thick with humidity, making everything feel heavy. The oppressive heat added to the sense of unease, as if the very atmosphere was conspiring to keep secrets hidden. Even the brightest days had a hint of gloom. The overcast skies seemed to cast a pall over the city, making the historic buildings appear even more somber. The Mississippi River flowed quietly, but its presence was always felt. It was a lifeline for the city, yet its murky waters held their own mysteries. The people of New Orleans enjoyed their vibrant culture but couldn't shake the sense of foreboding. Festivals and street performances brought joy, but there was always an undercurrent of anxiety. In this setting of eerie beauty, the Axeman began his reign of terror. The foggy nights and dark alleyways became the backdrop for his gruesome acts. The first whispers of his presence came quietly. People spoke in hushed tones, afraid to acknowledge the growing threat. At first it was just rumors, stories of a shadowy figure, a phantom that struck without warning. Then the reality of the horror set in. The police began their investigations and the community was gripped by fear. The Axeman's presence was no longer just a rumor, it was a terrifying reality that haunted the city. The horror started on May 23, 1918, a date that would forever be etched in the annals of New Orleans' dark history. Joseph and Catherine Maggio were the first victims of a series of brutal attacks that would terrorize the city. They were found in their home, brutally attacked in the dead of night. Their peaceful abode turned into a scene of unimaginable horror. Joseph's throat was slit with a razor, and his head was bashed with an axe, a combination of weapons that spoke to the killer's savage intent. Catherine suffered a similar fate, her life cut short in a manner that left the community reeling. Blood stained the floor, and the sight was gruesome, a chilling reminder of the violence that had taken place. The Axeman left no clear clues, his identity shrouded in mystery. His method was shocking and violent. The police were baffled, struggling to piece together the scant evidence left behind. The brutality of the attack stunned the city. Neighbors were terrified, locking their doors and windows in fear of the unknown assailant. Who could commit such a heinous act? The question lingered in the minds of everyone. The Maggio family was well liked, making the crime even more baffling. They were known for their kindness and generosity. The investigation began, but leads were scarce. Detectives worked tirelessly, but the Axeman seemed to vanish without a trace. The only thing clear was that the killer used the Maggio's own axe, a chilling detail that added to the horror. The fear in New Orleans started to grow, spreading like wildfire through the community. People whispered about the Axeman, sharing theories and fears in hushed tones. The city was on edge, every shadow and creak in the night a potential threat. The Axeman's reign of terror had just begun. The Axeman had a distinct method. He often used the victim's own tools. He would chisel out a panel on the door to gain entry. Once inside, he attacked with an axe. The brutal efficiency of his crimes was terrifying. His victims were often Italian immigrants, adding a layer of mystery. The city was gripped with fear. People began to arm themselves. Doors and windows were bolted tight. The axeman struck at random, making everyone a potential target. The randomness of his attacks added to the terror. No one felt safe. The police were under immense pressure. They increased patrols, but were always a step behind. The media played a significant role in spreading the fear. Newspapers covered every detail, real or imagined. The axeman's presence was felt everywhere. On March 13, 1919, the axeman sent a letter to the New Orleans Times-Picayune. The letter was chilling, a harbinger of dread that would grip the city in fear. He claimed to be a demon from hell, a being of pure malevolence. In a bizarre twist, he promised to spare anyone playing jazz music on the night of March 19th, turning the city into an impromptu jazz festival. The city was in a frenzy, with people scrambling to ensure they had jazz music playing in their homes. Jazz music filled the air as people tried to avoid his wrath, creating an eerie juxtaposition of celebration and terror. The letter read like a taunt, a sinister game played by a shadowy figure. It mocked the police and the city, highlighting their inability to catch him. It was a bold move, one that cemented his place in the annals of criminal history. The Axeman seemed to enjoy the fear he was causing, reveling in the chaos and panic. The night of March 19th was unforgettable, a night where the city was both alive with music and paralyzed by fear. Jazz bands played in homes, bars and streets, creating a cacophony of sound that echoed through the night. The city vibrated with music and fear, a unique blend of celebration and dread. The Axeman did not strike that night, leaving the city in a state of anxious relief. Whether he was true to his word or merely toying with the city is unknown, but the impact of his letter was undeniable. The letter added to his legend, making him a figure of both fear and fascination. It showed he was not just a killer, but a manipulator of fear, a master of psychological terror who played the city like a puppet on strings. Section 5. Theories about the Axeman's identity and motives. Many theories emerged about the Axeman's identity. Some believed he was a deranged lunatic. Others thought he was a Mafia hitman. The focus on Italian immigrants fueled the latter theory. Some speculated he was a supernatural being, given his letter's claims. One theory suggested he was a doctor or someone with medical knowledge. The precise nature of the attacks hinted at expertise. Another theory was that he was a butcher. The brutality and use of an axe fit this profile. The motives were equally mysterious. Was it racial hatred, a desire for chaos, or something more personal? The randomness of the attacks made it hard to pinpoint a motive. Theories abounded, but none were conclusive. Section 6. The final known attack in October 1919. The Axeman's final known attack occurred on October 27, 1919. Mike Pepitone was the victim. He was found in his bedroom, his head bashed in. His wife discovered the scene. Blood was everywhere. It was another brutal killing, consistent with the Axeman's methods. The Pepitone murder was the last attributed to the Axeman. After this, he vanished. The police were left with more questions than answers. The city hoped the nightmare was over, yet the fear lingered. The Axeman had struck terror into the heart of New Orleans. The sudden stop in attacks was puzzling. Did he die? Was he arrested for another crime? Or did he simply move on? The lack of closure added to the mystery. The Axeman became a dark legend. Section 7. The Axeman's disappearance. The Axeman's disappearance was as sudden as his emergence. No one knew why he stopped. Theories ranged from his death to a change in his life circumstances. Some believed he was arrested for an unrelated crime. Others thought he had moved to another city. The police continued their investigation, but leads dried up. The city gradually returned to normal. The fear subsided, but the mystery remained. The Axeman had become a ghost story. He was a figure of nightmares. Despite the lack of new attacks, the Axeman's legend grew. He was a topic of conversation and speculation. Theories about his identity and motives persisted. The city of New Orleans was left with an unsolved mystery. Section 8. The lingering mystery. The mystery of the Axeman endures. He was never caught. His identity remains unknown. Theories continue to circulate. Some believe he was a local. Others think he was a drifter. The lack of definitive answers keeps the story alive. The Axeman's story has been the subject of books and documentaries. Each new generation finds intrigue in the unsolved case. The fear he instilled is still palpable. The randomness of his attacks adds to the enigma. He is a permanent part of New Orleans folklore. Theories about his motives also persist. Was he driven by madness or something more sinister? The lack of a clear pattern makes it hard to say. The Axeman remains an enigma. Section 9. The impact on New Orleans. The Axeman's reign of terror had a lasting impact on New Orleans. It changed the way people viewed their safety. The fear of random violence became a part of the city's psyche. The police force had to rethink their strategies. The media's role in spreading fear was scrutinized. The Axeman also became a part of the city's cultural history. He is a figure in local folklore. His story is told to tourists and locals alike. He is a symbol of the city's dark side. The impact of his crimes is still felt today. The Axeman's legend has been woven into the fabric of New Orleans. He is a reminder of the city's capacity for both beauty and horror. His story is a part of the city's identity. Section 10. Conclusion. The Unsolved Mystery. The Axeman of New Orleans is a mystery that remains unsolved. His identity and motives are still unknown. The fear he instilled continues to haunt the city. Theories about him persist, but none are conclusive. He is a figure of legend and dread. The Axeman's story is a reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface. It is a tale of fear and mystery. The city of New Orleans will always remember the terror he caused. His legacy is a part of the city's history. The Axeman may never be identified, but his legend lives on. He is a symbol of the unknown. The mystery of the Axeman of New Orleans endures. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share. Stay tuned to Enigma Uncharted for more mysteries.